Hey, we're going to talk about how to use the law of cosines. The law of cosines is used on any triangle where you have like side, angle, side, or possibly side, side, side. In this example, we're going to just talk about the side, angle, side, and how we'd utilize the law of cosines. So to throw that example up here, here's our example. We have a picture or a triangle. Again, we've got side, angle in between another side. And here is the big giant law of cosines. A lot of websites will take out that multiplying sign, but it's the same thing, right? And it's using our generalized rules for naming a triangle where the capital letter represents an angle and the lowercase letter represents a side. Sorry, lowercase letter representing a side. So on here, the thing to notice in the law of cosines, the big thing, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. It looks really big and complicated, but it's just squaring, multiplying, adding, and a little subtracting. But the thing that we have to keep in mind is that this side is always opposite whatever angle is placed into our cosine value. Those are always opposite. As long as you keep that in mind, we should be okay. So in here, where we only have one angle, right, we only have this angle, that has to be angle C, and we have to utilize, again, naming conventions. Side C has to be across here. That has to be side C. So then we can go ahead and solve this because we can just kind of type this whole thing in here. Now, again, not allowed to be at the school, so I don't have a big whiteboard to write on. So I'm just going to type this stuff in here and we'll kind of figure that out. So in here, what I would say is I don't know what side C is. That's going to be C squared. And then we would fill in the rest. A and B, it doesn't really matter because they're being added, either A or B. Again, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to go 10 squared, which is 100, plus 15 squared, which is 225. And then we're going to subtract 2 times 10 times 15, which is 300 when we go here. That's this portion, 2 times 10 times 15. And then we're going to multiply that times the cosine of 103 degrees, right? 103 degrees. That's what we want to do there. And so on this part, what's really nice about side angle side is we don't have to do a whole lot of math. Once we got this set up, we can just run this entire thing into a calculator here just to make sure that I have that. I'm going to write that down really quick. And you guys can use whatever calculator you want. If you don't happen to have a calculator at home, one that's a really good one is we can use Desmos. Let me erase all these lines here just a little bit, right? On there. So here I'm just going to go over to Desmos.com. Oops, not the egg timer. We don't need that. And now you can use Desmos for graphing. If I'm just using it as a calculator, there is this option here to have a scientific calculator, which you can also put on your phone. Desmos has an option for that as well. And so here we can just type that whole thing in. So 100, 225 minus, 300 cosine of 103, if I can type here. Right? And so we can do this whole thing. Again, it is set in degrees. We can swap from degrees to radians. We want to be in degrees here. And we get 392, yada, yada, yada. And we might think, boy, that's a really long side for this one. But oh yeah, that is C squared is equal to this stuff here, right? C squared is equal to 392.48. Right. What we really have to do is get this, let's space this out just a little bit. What we have to do here is we do have to take the square root of that. So I'm just going to hit enter and start another one. You can either type, click the square root, or I'm going to type it in SQRT, square root of this whole thing up here. And I don't want to take the time to type all that in. So I'm just going to highlight this, copy and paste. And so I'm just going to put that whole thing in there. It does the square root of that number, which is 119.81. You know, always want to keep that, not 119. What did I say? 19.81. So that's how long that side has to be. And that's how you utilize the law of cosines. Just don't forget to take that square root at the end when we do that. And we don't have to worry, you know, sometimes square roots, positives and negatives. In this case, we're working with a physical triangle. This distance cannot be negative, so we just take the positive option.